This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Cabo Jim Schaller.
Welcome, good neighbors, to episode number 166 of the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. Today we have good neighbor Jean-Louis Hardy from ENG2 Business Consulting. Welcome.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited to learn about what you do and just dive into everything. So let's, without further ado, let's jump right in. Why don't you share a little bit of what you do?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I help people structure and build businesses as well as make sure that their mindset is in the right place to build the business, because a lot of times people can get the to-dos on how to do things, but yet can't properly execute. So you got to attack both sides.
Absolutely. And then that's important. You know, there's a lot of people that get into business that have the skills or the product, but really don't know how to run a business or the mindset to run a business. So they need some direction sometimes. So let's back up your story a little bit. How did you get involved in this?
Yeah, that's that's quite an involved story. So when I first started off, I started off coming out of high school as a carpenter, and I realized that was not for me very, very quickly. I should say very quickly. It took about 3 years, but I just realized I was never going to make the amount of money that I needed to make, and I had some soft skills and some hard skills at that point. So I was going to go and learn how to do sales and build businesses. So I went to California in 2008. Now,
Wow.
in 2008, California
Right.
was not the place to be.
Right.
So, yeah.
Not the best timing. Right?
No. But that seems to be that seemed to have been a pattern in my life, actually. But I can talk about that later. The thing that happened was this: I went to California and I started being a contractor for door-to-door sales, and so there was very few owners of the doors. However, I learned so much about sales that I came out with an excellent sales mindset and mentality. I understood the grit, I understood what it took, and that pain turned into the platform for me to start helping others build their business later on.
Interesting. Very.
Yeah.
I'd ask you about challenges or obstacles along your journey, but it seems like you've you've had a number of them, right?
That is correct. Yeah, that's correct. You know what? It is funny because I see the patterns of the challenge and obstacles, and I've come to the conclusion that we as humans have the ability to create the reality that we want. And if your vision is large, you're going to expect to have a lot of challenges.
And that's how you learn and grow. You know, you need to go through some of those challenges to learn what to do and what not to do, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So are there any maybe myths or maybe misconceptions surrounding what you do that we could clear up for our listeners?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of people, when I say, hey, look, I help people structure and build businesses and fix their mindset, they think like maybe it's something very woo-woo. Or like, what does that really mean? It's like super vague. Well, it comes down to four basic principles on the business side. There are only four pillars that you'd have to focus and make sure that are properly systemized. And there's a few other things around it, but this is the main gist. You have four pillars of your business. It's marketing, sales, the delivery of your product or service, and how you deliver it and making sure that it matches with your audience. And last is accounting and legal. When you understand those four principles of your business, what starts to happen is you get new eyes on how your business works. And a lot of people are building businesses without understanding all four. And that is very challenging. It's not that you can't make it with it, you just can't make it very far. So that's the business side, and hopefully that clears that up.
Absolutely. So what do you see trending in what you do or in businesses in general?
So technology, which is funny because tech has been around for a long time, but tech is now moving at such an expedient rate comparatively to what it was like 5, even 10 years ago, that we're starting to see inventions that are very unique. And I'm talking about things like, let's just say, drones that have advertising for events. And so, like, or drones that are going out and cleaning windows for large skyscrapers. This is very new. It's very cost effective, and it integrates things like AI and the new technologies that have really started to come out, moving towards more efficient ways of getting stuff done. So that's really what I've been seeing across the board.
Yeah, and that's like I said, as technology comes out, AI comes out, we're still learning a lot about that, and it's just ever evolving, and it's just going to get bigger, and let's say play a bigger role in what we do moving forward for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you can't work all the time, but what do you enjoy doing outside of the work when you get a free minute or two?
Yeah, that's a great question. I absolutely love photography and art. I was actually talking to a friend of mine who he owns this big venture capitalist firm, and we're sitting down and we're having a chat. I'm like, so if you didn't do what you do, what would you do? And he was explaining he loves spreadsheets. And
Really?
I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, cool. And then he asked me the same question, and I had to think about it. Now, you know what? It'd be photography, because that's what I love. I absolutely love art. I love looking at art. I love searching up art. I like trying to understand art. But photography would definitely be the thing that I like doing. I don't post my photography on Instagram too often, so you won't see it. but I like it, so that's what I like doing.
Well, it helps keep that creativeness going. I was an art major back in school, but I ended up getting into business, so I never did anything with my art. But I still use a lot of that creativity in what I do on the business side of things, and build relationships and so forth. So
that's cool.
Is there one thing that you wish our listeners knew about what you do that maybe they wouldn't be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, I think that something that I like to say is maybe a little underrated is, with my clients, what I like to do is really assess their speech pattern and the way that they think out of their mouth. And it sounds funny, think out of your mouth.
Right.
A lot before you speak, you have to think. But sometimes it's unconscious, and people don't realize that. So I love pointing out the unconscious pieces and then digging into it and like trying to resolve that. I have seen so many breakthroughs for clients where they were stuck and they just thought that they were at the end, and then we find out like that's just the way that they were speaking to themselves, and that's the subconscious side of things. So this is kind of like the mindset side. That's like I think that's the coolest thing in the world, because I get to see people break through.
Yeah, and once you can kind of say control, but understand your subconscious, that it allows you to break through and understand things, and maybe talk back to that subconscious and say, I'm not going to do that, even though you want me to do that. I'm going to focus on what's good for me.
Absolutely.
So, how would our listeners go about getting a hold of you if they wanted to learn more about what you do?
Yeah, cool. The fastest way to get a hold of me is through Instagram at JLOUISHARDY. That's J. Lewis Hardy. And just text me. Hey, I heard you on the podcast. I'll happily be able to take a look and see if there's something that's possible for you and your business. That's the best way to get a hold of me. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, any last words for our listeners?
Yeah, I want to say, in a world where things are all dark and gloomy and almost like trying to get you to be down on a daily basis, learn to fight against it and take a look that you are creating the reality that you want to create on a daily basis, and learn to control the controllables. And in doing so, you'll take that next step. And it's just like, that is such a powerful message nowadays. And I'd love to just share that and keep that rocking for everybody.
I agree. More people need to know about that and be aware of that. But it's been a pleasure getting to know you. Thank you for being such a good neighbor, and I hope to see you out in the community soon.
All right. Talk soon.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpestero.com. That's gnpestero.com, or call 239-296-2621.